A bunch of news has come out of Destination Star Trek. We got some more updates about the Nickelodeon show, and we get our first look at Admiral Picard. Let's bore it up! Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We've got a couple of quick news updates for you that I want to go ahead and get passed along to you that came out of basically Destination Star Trek over the weekend. Now, the first story I want to talk about is about the Nickelodeon Star Trek show that we don't really know too much about, and even though that the show has a title, Alex Kurtzman and company have been coy and kind of keeping it to themselves, so we don't even know what it's called yet. But the big update that we did get regarding the show is, in fact, that the episodes themselves will be serialized, which is kind of an interesting take on the, I guess, animated show approach, because most animated shows kind of tend, especially kids animated shows, kind of tend to just be more procedural, which is episode by episode. It's kind of a bit separated, whereas serialized, everything's a bit more cohesive and it follows a kind of standard story arc. Now, obviously that was going to happen for the Lower Deck show, which is the Rick and Morty style looking one, but this one is obviously geared much more towards younger kids from what we understand. So it's interesting that they're going to go with that approach. I'm curious to see, now that we know that it's kind of super far out in terms of development, not even close to 2021 as we're going to start to see stuff according to them, that they may go against that at some point. This is what they're doing now, but that may change later. But it is an interesting approach to it, and I'm curious to see how they start to unfold that for a children's animated show. The next story that we're going to be covering today came out of Destination Star Trek from Patrick Stewart during some of his Q&A sessions for the Picard show panel there. A few of the quick ones were that, one, that we're going to find out a lot more about the Borg, supposedly once this show kind of kicks off, which is very, very exciting. We don't really know anything that much about the Borg and kind of their true origins and how they came about, and I feel like we may be able to get some kind of really cool twist ending as to what was really going on with their origin and why they are at where they're at right now inside of the universe. So I'm kind of curious to see what that's going to be like. Another thing that we got was that Patrick Stewart kind of threw out a little teaser saying that we might see the remainder of the TNG crew. He didn't specifically say this season, and they've been kind of coy with that a little bit, saying that, yeah, this won't be like a full reunion and stuff like that, but we're going to see obviously multiple cast members returning from the TNG show. But this one is a little bit more direct, saying that we're going to potentially see the rest of them. You know, I think we've already had the theory about Q, we've already had the theory about Worf showing up, and that kind of just leaves really just, you know, Gates McFadden returning and LeVar Burton as returning as their principal cast members as well, and potentially even Sela, which is another person that we've reported on this channel as possibly being in there. So it's interesting that they're teasing that out right now as we're getting closer to the show. I wonder if they're getting ready to do another kind of cast announcement piece for Picard, or if they're just trying to keep us all kind of theory crafting and speculating to keep the buzz going. I don't know, but it's working obviously because I'm doing it. I'm just saying I'm doing it. Another little bit of information that we did get from the panel that I didn't see reported on too many websites, but I got it from someone that was at the panel themselves, who is heading up the Star Trek Pike fan group over on Facebook. They were sending me some information as the kind of panel was unfolding, and that is that there are two caregivers at the vineyard with Picard, and they are both Romulan. They cook his meals, and they kind of keep him safe. I don't know what keep him safe means over in Labar, but maybe they just mean look after him, or maybe there's people kind of coming after him, possibly. I don't know. And we also kind of connect that little maybe he needs to be safe thing. We got kind of official kind of breakdowns of the IDW prequel comic, tie-in lead-up comic for the Star Trek Picard series. Now we'll get to the more important image that kind of came out with those, which was the Admiral uniform, but the synopsises that we got from all of the three different versions. The first one, of course, reads, before he retired to his vineyard, Jean-Luc Picard was the most decorated admiral in Starfleet. Then one mission changed his life forever. The countdown starts here. Now that is kind of the overarching, I guess you could say, breakdown of the story and kind of tied directly to the first issue. The second issue reads, as the situation on the Romulan colony continues to unravel, Picard finds himself faced with a difficult choice that will affect millions. So clearly we're still kind of connecting everything back to the whole situation with the Hobus supernova, Romulus being destroyed, Admiral Picard supposedly leaving some kind of humanitarian rescue armada before he retired. We have theorized that it would probably be about the Romulus destruction, but we weren't quite sure if the timing was really going to make sense too much because the years don't quite add up. It's a few years kind of separated from when this armada would have been there and then when Hobus supernova went up, from what we understand timeline-wise currently, but they may be trying to clean some of that up a little bit in the show, so more to follow on that as we kind of, I guess, watch the show itself. And then, of course, the third entry into the prequel prequel comic reads, Jean-Luc Picard has traveled to the furthest reaches of the galaxy, defeated impossible foes, and survived in the face of unthinkable odds. But it's the end of this one mission that will change his life forever. So this is kind of interesting. I wonder if it ties back to the quote that we heard from, I think, one of the characters inside of the second Picard trailer, where it was like, is this another one of those crazy off-the-books rescue missions or whatever it was? I wonder if that's kind of related back to this mission that they're talking about in the third volume here. But I'm very excited to see what this prequel comic has in store for us. I absolutely want to know as much information about what's been going on with Captain and Admiral Picard since we've seen him inside of Star Trek Nemesis. And speaking of Admiral Picard, we obviously got the most big important news, which is, of course, his Admiral uniform. Now, a lot of people didn't like the way that this uniform looked. People were kind of comparing it to an old, like, sci-fi, television shows kind of uniform. It looked kind of hokey. It looked kind of cheap. My opinion on that is, one, uniforms, specifically, I shouldn't say uniforms, costumes from films and TV shows usually look kind of weird when they're on static displays, but when they're inside of the actual motion picture, the film itself, they look a lot better. They don't look as weird as they would just from like a static display. I think even official still photo images make things look a little bit weird. So I'm holding off judgment until I see the actual uniform potentially inside of the show. I would imagine that they're going to use it at some point. Otherwise, why would they have made it? But for me, I actually really like the way that the uniform looks, especially when you compare the still image of it from being on a static display to the way that the cover art looks for the IDW publishing tie-in prequel comic. I think he looks awesome on the front of this comic. So that's why, to me, I want to remind people, like, we don't really know exactly what it's going to look like. It could be awesome. It could look really, really cool on screen. So those of you who are on the fence about whether or not it looks good or not, I would wait till you see it in the show. Personally, I really like it. I think it's kind of a natural progression to some of the other TNG style, not TNG movie style, but TNG show style uniforms that we saw other admirals wearing with the kind of weird like V's and like different cuts in the sleeves. So there was a couple of kind of connections there to some of those old school television TNG show uniforms. So I liked it. I think it looks pretty cool. I can't wait to see Patrick Stewart actually inside of it, running around. I know he did previously say that he wasn't going to be in uniform, but they already broke that promise because we saw him in uniform in the second trailer. So I wouldn't put too much stock into that particular statement anymore. Clearly, they're doing something different from when they originally said that comment. So I'm curious to see how that kind of works. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into the rumor rundown. So there aren't a whole lot of rumors going on right now. The big thing that's kind of popped up online, of course, as usual, is another rumor kind of attached to the fact that things look kind of similar to things in the Kelvin universe as they do now in the Prime universe. Obviously, that being the Admiral Picard uniform looking similar in style to that of the Kelvin Admiral uniforms. I don't personally see that other than kind of like maybe some of the cuts on the chest piece area, but to me, the coloring and the design and all the extra buckles and stuff, like it looks very, very different in my opinion, but obviously that kind of drummed up the rumor mill again in regards to that everything is underneath an alternate license and 25% and yada, yada, yada. You guys have heard the story a million times, but I just wanted to mention that to you guys in case some of you had seen it. I had seen that. I don't particularly put any stock in that. Obviously, you know how I feel about the 25% and alternate license thing, but to me, just period, putting all the license stuff aside, I don't really think that these uniforms look that similar, to be perfectly honest. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into our Trek Trivia question of the week. So congratulations to those of you who got last episode's question right. It was pretty simple. It was what was the GNDN acronym standing for inside of Star Trek, and obviously most people do know it means goes nowhere, does nothing. So congratulations to all of you for getting that one right. That one was pretty easy, I think. I've been giving you guys too many softball questions, so it's time for me to hit you guys with a harder question. And this one is related to baseball. And my question for you guys is, how many runs did the Logicians have at the end of their baseball game against the Niners in Deep Space Nine? Now, again, how many runs did they have at the end of the game inside of Deep Space Nine? So good luck to those of you who want to go ahead and try this answer out. I may be trying to trick some of you, maybe using some baseball terms. I don't know. Some people may get the answer wrong, but good luck to all of you. And like I say always, I will heart the correct answers in just a few days to give everyone an opportunity to go ahead and get their answers in before I kind of give it away. So good luck. Let's go ahead and jump right into the comment of the week. Okay, so this week comment is going to come with a little bit of a qualifier. This comment is directly related to my Axonar problem video that I released just a few days ago. So if you guys haven't seen that, please go check it out. But this one is kind of related to that as someone who did not appreciate the fact that I had made this video about Alec Peters. They initially kind of gave me like a little veiled threat about trying to basically silence the channel. Needless to say, that did not go well. A massive conversation kind of ensued with a lot of other fans, of the channel and with myself with this particular person. And then they kind of curtailed the whole, conversation up with this particular quote, which really belongs in, I think, the Comment of the Week Hall of Fame. It reads, Ketwolski, as in some of his recent videos, has been drinking and is an alcoholic who, in out of control fashion, is taking shots at someone who's trying to do something great and he resents him. I'm sick of him slurring words, too. He needs help. Don't tell me you haven't noticed his personal problems on episodes. But seriously, James Byrne Fisher, that was probably the cringiest thing I've ever read. Trying to kind of slander me, I guess, or threaten me or bully me or try to imply that I have some kind of a weird drinking problem. I don't know. It's great. I have problems saying words. I just struggle to get through your comment, mainly because it was missing a couple of keywords in it. But I struggle with saying words in general, especially when I'm recording things, but that's just kind of who I am. So I apologize already for saying words weird. But yeah, that was the first time I've ever been actually threatened on YouTube with slander, and he also had threatened me previously, and I was actually okay with leaving that comment up because I thought it was quite humorous and really cringy and really, really stupid. But unfortunately, James, you went ahead and spammed that comment like all over the channel, all over the place. So unfortunately, you had to get hidden from the channel. You kind of ruined it for yourself. Otherwise, people would have been able to see your fantastic plan to turn me into a massive alcoholic. Anyways, guys and gals, that wraps up today's video. I hope that you guys and gals enjoyed it. I am curious to hear what you think about all of this exciting news in regards to Star Trek right now, and of course, what you think about the new Admiral Picard uniform. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think it looks like Kelvin? Do you think it looks dumb? You can't wait to see it, on screen. You can't wait to see Patrick in it. You want them to burn it. Whatever it is, throw up your comments down below. Let's get the conversation started, and I'll catch all of y'all next time. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies!